What's up, guys? Behind me you can see that we have a brand new two-seat Pro R that we borrowed from our friends over at Langston Motorsports, and I'm going to be showing you how to remove the factory cage and install one of our Super Shorty roll cages. The first thing you'll want to do is remove the boots from the bottom of the A-pillars, and if you have the tweeter speakers installed, go ahead and use a small flathead screwdriver to undo the clip and pull those out. Next, remove the A-pillar bolts using your 18mm wrench and socket. Next, you can remove the B-pillars using a 21mm socket, and you're going to need a 10-inch extension bar. Now we can remove the C-pillars with a 16mm socket. You can discard your C-pillar and B-pillar bolts as they will be replaced with our roll cage, and we do provide the new hardware. Next, you'll want to remove the Torx bolts holding the plastic on in the rear of the cage using your Torx T40 bit to allow the cage to slide up and out of the vehicle. You will also need to remove the two clips just behind the C-pillar, as well as the one on the inside and the one just inside under the plastic next to the taillight. Removing the plastic clips will allow you to pull the fender up and out of the way to get the roll cage off. Now you can remove the 4 Torx bolts holding the bed into the razor and remove the bed from the razor. Remove the Torx bolt just on the outside of the taillight in the very rear so that you can pull the fender out of the way. Once all the roll cage bolts are removed and all the plastic clips are removed, make sure everything is disconnected from the roll cage. Then you can use a couple buddies to help you lift it off the car, or in our case, we use a forklift because it makes it a lot easier. Make sure to put the factory boots back on your A-pillars before you set the roll cage on the car. With the help of a few buddies, carry the roll cage from the front of the razor over to the back and set the rear bungs in place, making sure not to scratch the plastics. Once the rear bungs are seated or close to being seated, you can then jack up the middle of the razor using a jack and a couple 4x4s to allow the suspension to droop out and the frame to flex. Once all 4 rear bungs are seated, apply the washers onto the supplied hardware with a little bit of anti-seize and start installing those bolts. You can also apply a small amount of anti-seize to the 4 rear bungs before they are all the way seated in case you ever need to remove the roll cage. We found it helpful to use a ratchet strap to hook from the rear intrusion bars to the dash tube to pull the front bungs into place. You can use a pry bar to pry the bungs up and over the feet on the factory bungs and push back until they pop into place. A rubber mallet can help fully seat the bung. Using an alignment tool in the top hole will allow you to slide the bolt through the bottom hole much easier. Once both bolts are in the A-pillar, install the factory nuts and tighten them down. Don't forget to plug in your tweeter speakers before you pull the boot back down and tuck it under the plastic.